Did you know the VA has very specific requirements that you must follow to use your VA home loan benefit? These are called minimum property requirements, and it's something that many veterans and unfortunately many real estate agents don't consider when helping veterans navigate the VA loan process. So, in this video, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown of what those minimum property requirements are so that you don't find yourself wasting time looking at properties that you just simply cannot buy. But before I jump into the video, me and my team get calls every single day from veterans who are trying to navigate the VA loan process. So if you find yourself stuck and you just want to get help from a team of individuals who specialize in helping veterans go through the VA loan process, give us a call, shoot us a text. We are happy to help you do the exact same thing we have done for thousands of other families. And lastly, if you have not already, subscribe to the channel and join the community. It's completely free to you and it will allow you to learn all the things that veterans need to know about the VA home loan benefit. Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the VA has specific requirements that they have set to ensure that the house meets a certain level of criteria or a standard in order for a veteran to be able to purchase that particular property. Now, when it comes to why these VA minimum property requirements are important, it's simply just to protect the veteran's best interest. So that way they don't find themselves purchasing a property that maybe they cannot sell later, or just simply a property that I would say is going to be end up falling apart over a short period of time. And it just ends up making that property cost the veteran more money in the long run. Now, when are these VA minimum property requirements confirmed? Well, this is done during a specific process of when you are buying your house, and it's when the appraisal process starts. Now, this can be something you can kind of confirm before the appraisal process, and that's with your real estate agent before they take you out to looking at a property, or just simply while you're looking at a property, making sure that there isn't anything that sticks out that doesn't meet these specific MPRs or minimum property requirements. So if you're a real estate agent, check out this video because it is going to help you when showing homes to a specific veteran client of yours. And if you're a veteran, show this video to your realtor so that way you can make sure that they're keeping these things in mind to protect your best interest. But as I mentioned, when the VA minimum property requirements are confirmed is during the appraisal process. And before approving a mortgage, your VA lender is going to make sure that they request what's known as an appraisal by an independent appraiser. So that way they can determine if the property satisfies these basic requirements, and also they're going to also determine value. The VA does not employ appraisers though. This is extremely important for you guys to keep in mind. And a lot of times I get calls from real estate agents and they'll say, hey, is the VA appraiser going to do this? That is not something that is actually being done by the VA. The VA is simply requesting the appraiser, or I should say the lender is simply requesting an appraisal to be done by an independent appraiser, which means that the same appraiser that is going to look at that VA property is probably going to go check out a conventional appraisal later, an FHA appraisal, maybe that same day or another day, and also other types of loans out there as well, which means that they're just simply following a set of guidelines. It's not like this particular appraiser is only being sent out by the VA to be able to really look at this property and scrutinize it in a more strict fashion. That's not exactly how it works at all. Now, there's three main requirements when it comes to what the appraiser is looking for. If you don't watch the rest of this video, I'm here to tell you right now, these three main requirements are going to be something that you want to memorize because it kind of helps you better understand things that I'm going to be talking about later down the road. And also, if you don't remember some of these things I'm talking about, but you remember these three things, it'll pretty much look out for you and help protect you from making a bad decision. The first one is the property safe? This next one is it sanitary? And the last one, is the property structurally sound? These are three things that I learned very early in my career when it comes to helping veterans use the VA home loan benefit. And it is something that I ask real estate agents all the time when they consider a property for a veteran client. Is it safe? Is it sanitary? And is it structurally sound? Now, the next things that we're going to be talking about are going to be things like marketability. Does the property meet the VA's MPRs where the property is a residential dwelling? That's a big thing. It cannot be a commercially zoned property. This means that the property must appeal to most home buyers. And this is so that way in the future, if that veteran decides to sell that home, is it something that is going to be easily able to be sold to a future home buyer that either is another veteran or may not be a veteran? Another thing is there is no size limit when it comes to the lot size, which means there's no like acreage amount. I've had people come to me saying, "Can I buy a 300-acre lot or a 300-acre property?" Absolutely, you can. The VA is not concerned by that at all. And it also must be on a single deed, which means if you're buying a property that, let's say, has, or you're buying something from that has multiple parcels, right? The biggest thing is, can it be put together into one single deed or one single title when it comes to closing on those multiple parcels together? And then the last one is the property, a residential property that's between 1 to 4 units, which means, is it a single family home? Is it a duplex? Is it a triplex? Or is it a quadplex? That's very important as well. Now, the next one is going to be the space requirements. The home does not have a minimum size that the VA is requiring to be met. The biggest thing here is the property large enough for this overall household or family size? Are you going to be buying a studio condo or a 1-bedroom condo for a household of 5? That's obviously not practical. And that's something that the VA does consider in those instances. The property just needs to be large enough to accommodate your living, your which is your essential facilities like the sleeping areas or bedrooms, the kitchen, the dining, and the overall hygiene or bathroom areas. Unique homes are acceptable. They just need to meet specific local building codes and also remain marketable despite their fact that they're unconventional as well. You can have a home that's just, unique to that particular community or area. That's okay. But is it marketable? Meaning, can it be sold again without any added restrictions? The next one is going to be access to the property. The property must be safely accessible year-round by foot or by vehicle via a public or private road in all weather conditions. Dirt roads do not meet VA loan appraisal requirements for property access. If the property is accessed via a private road, there must be a recorded permanent easement or right-of-way to ensure continued access. The next one is encroachments. Encroachments means the appraiser is going to or must report any encroachments such as improvements, utility easements, like the electrical boxes or even electrical poles that are technically on your property, any right-of-ways that maybe kind of intersect property lines. These issues must be resolved before the VA loan can be closed or approved for you to be able to buy it. There's also going to be things around drainage and topography. The property must ensure that waste or surface water flow away from the property or from the house without pooling up or just puddling or even flooding. There should be no threats of mudslides, falling rocks, or avalanches from neighboring properties to meet the VA loan requirements as well. That's a very important thing. And when it comes to hazards, the property must be free of hazards such as sinkholes, foundation damage, settlement problems. That could also affect health and safety or prevent enjoyment of the property. Some cases may require a licensed contractor to repair prior to a clear appraisal being issued. So if you find, and this is important too, because let's say that the appraiser notates, hey, there's some form of settlement problem or a foundation issue. It doesn't mean that the house can't be bought. It just means it cannot be bought until that foundation issue is addressed. So that means a licensed contractor or someone that is going to be able to go out there and be able to address that foundation issue that can be costly. And that's something that is also there to protect you, to make sure that you're not buying a property that's just going to rent. A foundation issue is no joke. It's not a minimal thing. It's something that can cost thousands of dollars, and you definitely don't want to be on the hook for that. Now, when it comes to special flood or a special flood hazard area, if the property is in a flood prone area, such as the FEMA designated areas, the appraiser is going to notate that the property is in that area. And then you are now going to be required to have what's known as flood insurance. And flood insurance can be pretty expensive, which now means that it's going to be an added monthly payment on top of all of your other monthly liabilities or monthly expenses for that property. Normally you have things like principal, interest, taxes, and homeowners insurance on this property. And then if you have a property in a flood zone, now you also have flood insurance on top of your homeowners insurance. So that's something that you need to keep in mind, because now your lender is going to have to also factor that in when they're qualifying you, to make sure that you do still qualify as well for that added expense. Mechanical systems, the appraiser won't conduct tests on the HVAC or heating and cooling appliances. They will mention if these systems seem unsafe though. So that is something that you want to keep in mind of whenever you have a property that you are buying. Is there's something that the appraiser can really just see with their naked eye that would show that this may not be a safe, I guess you could say a safe system in this property that you are looking at buying. Now, when it comes to heating, the property needs to be able to stay at least 50 degrees in all areas with plumbing. In warmer climates, permanent heating systems isn't required by VA standards. However, if the house has a non-electrical, non-vented fireplace or another non-vented space heater, the owner needs a written certification from a licensed heating contractor for an approved oxygen depletion sensor. Air conditioning isn't required by the VA, but if it's there, it has to work, or repairs will be needed according to the appraisal. So that is an important one as well. Now, when it comes to the roof, the appraiser does not have to physically inspect the roof's condition, but they'll notate if they can't see it, like if it's covered in snow. They must check for any visible issues, though, from inside the property and even outside, like signs of leaks or trapped moisture. These issues could indicate that the roof doesn't meet VA's minimum property requirements for being reasonably useful, durable, and easy to maintain in the future. When it comes to attics, the appraiser will inspect the attic if it's easy to access, such as having a scuttle or having clear visibility without obstacles like insulation or stored items. If they see any problems like water stains or trapped moisture, they'll notate them, and the appraisal will be done with the understanding that the repairs need to be made. When it comes to crawl space, appraisers will inspect crawl spaces if they're easy to get to and have mechanical systems. They check for good ventilation and no excess moisture. They don't have to go inside, but need to ensure that the floor joists are high enough above the ground so that ductwork and plumbing underneath the house can be maintained and repaired. When it comes to the basement, the appraiser is required to inspect the basement and report any signs of dampness or structural problems that could impact the health and safety of the residents. Additionally, though, the appraiser must note the presence and condition of a sump pump as per VA's minimum property requirements. When it comes to swimming pools, you can buy a property that has a swimming pool. If the property has an in-ground swimming pool, the appraiser needs to assess its condition and how it affects the property's value. If the pool is covered, winterized, or not in use, the appraiser should assume it's in good working order. If there are damages, though, they'll notate them, and the appraisal will be contingent to the repairs. Above ground pools may be considered if they have permanent equipment like water filtering systems and decking, and if the setups are common in the area. When it comes to lead-based paint, this is a big one actually. The appraiser notes any chipping paint and the home's on the home's exterior, which must be fixed before the VA loan approval. Homes built before 1978 are assumed to contain lead-based paint, requiring correction by resealing with non-lead paint or covering with suitable materials. The VA does not grant waivers for lead paint issues due to the serious health threat and additional cost. The appraiser must verify the correction of chipping paint before finalizing the loan. When it comes to the presence of what's known as wood-destroying insects, fungus, or dry rot, this is a huge one. This is something that is going to be done or addressed and typically found when it comes to when you do what's called a pest inspection, but it also can be found during the appraisal as well. The presence of these different things like the insects or termites, fungus, dry rot can threaten a property's structural integrity. So the appraiser must report any signs of these issues, and all damage must be repaired. In areas prone to termites, a wood destroying insect inspection report is necessary for the notice of value, except for high-rise condominium buildings. If you are buying a property that maybe has infestation or has these things going on, they will have to be addressed and fixed before you can close on that property. If they are there, though, it does not mean the property it's out or it's denied. It just must be fixed before you actually purchase. If you're buying near an airport, the proximity of an airport can negatively affect a property due to noise, light pollution, and the risk of accidents impacting its value. The appraiser should use comparable sales with similar airport influences. Borrowers must acknowledge in writing if the property is in a clear zone or accident protection zone to receive the notice of value as well. When it comes to failing the minimum property requirements, this is huge, guys. If a house doesn't meet VA loans minimum property requirements, there are options. The VA won't approve a loan for a property that doesn't comply with the VA minimum property requirements, but here's the options. The VA has what's known as a minimum property requirement waiver. After the appraiser issues the notice of value, borrowers can request a waiver of minimum property repairs if the property is safe and meets structural if the property is safe, sanitary, and structurally sound, like you heard me mention earlier. And this is after providing an inspection report, which can help the waiver request. If approved, the VA will remove the MPR repairs from the NOV. Borrowers can also proceed with repairs after closing with funds held in escrow, but repairs must be completed for the VA loan guarantee. So there you have it, guys. These are the minimum property requirements that you must follow in order to use your VA home loan benefit when buying a property. Was there anything on this list that maybe surprised you that you thought was not a requirement? Let me know in the comments below.